All right, so sticking with TV again, let's finally talk about the series premiere of Moon Knight, right? So,
Sure.
before we begin, just let you know, I going into this, I knew little to nothing about the character of Moon Knight. I know our colleague Summer is a huge fan of the Moon Knight character. So yeah, I know that she was stoked that we're gonna get this series. Well, not only will he be part of the MCU, but he's also gonna have his own spin-off, his own standalone series, basically, right? And even better to Oscar Isaac, right, is playing the lead, right? So even though we didn't get the first two episodes, or I should say, I know it have critics who either saw the full series or saw like the first 3 or 4 episodes already. Yeah, you know me like everybody else, you kind of have to watch episodes play out one by one, right? But before we jump into our thoughts, Ashton, you being
Yo.
a comic book fan and whatnot, and probably knowing way more about the Moon Knight character than Ricardo and I do. You mind just share fill us in on what this series premiere was about in a nutshell?
All right, cool. So this series premiere was basically following uh, 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 is it Oscar Isaac or Isaac Oscar?
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac. Yo, I always mix that shit up. But
But,
yeah,
but no,
so
but I mean Oscar's a surname, bro. I mean,
yeah, this
I
man.
mean,
But I'm just saying. But I mean, he had two first names as a name. So
yeah.
right off
Well,
the
well,
bat,
well.
I
Just,
can't
just,
trust
just,
him.
just, just another little detour here. At a point in time, just swear to God, I used to confuse him with Jason Isaacson. Like the names used to sound familiar, but then when you see them together, it's like, oh wait, there's no way Oscar and Jason are the same people, right?
Yo,
But
he's
swear
not the
when I
same
hear
man
Jason
from
Isaacson, it's getting
Ex Machina, is he?
Ex
yeah,
Machina, yeah.
yeah, Ex Machina,
Ex
yeah.
Machina,
Yeah.
right?
That was the
Okay.
first show I saw him in
Nathan.
that. Yeah.
Nathan, yeah.
And there's a TV show called with Zoe
Devs.
Deschanel, right? A girl from apartment 13 or some shit. So it's her and like a whole bunch of people. And like the guy who acts on that, I think he looks like Oscar Isaac. And I mix the two of them up all the time.
Okay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. All right. So right. So we start following the character Steven, right? But already like the show starts and you're already picking up on the weird vibes. He wakes up, his foot is latched to the bed by a chain and one of those restraining straps that you use on people that they would have used on people back in the day in insane asylums. Those kind of straps, right? So that's on
Yeah.
his bed. That's on his bed frame, but only one, which is weird. Then there's sand all around his bed. Weird. Again, just sand. Because remember, not a lot of people know about this character, right? So everything that you see is gonna seem weird to you, right? Um, then it's just him carrying about his day, making his little calls, going to work. Um, he works in a museum. He lives in England, so the show takes place in England as well, which is nice. I like hearing British accents all the time, and it kind of you kind of get the feeling that he's trying to keep track of his movements because maybe he has some sort of disorder where he gets up in his sleep and just wanders or whatnot. No. So you notice that the character himself very squirrely and looks sleep deprived, right? Um, they did a good job, is what I could say. For like a first episode, and you're not trying to give away too much within the first episode, and you're really trying to build this character because you're building a relatively unknown character and you're trying to make them, you're trying to get people involved in these characters because if this Moon Knight character does well, it'll lend to other things happening now. Like maybe we'll get a bigger push on Blade and Ghost Rider and stuff as well. Follow the character going about his day-to-day life. You get introduced to what would appear to be the main antagonist of the storyline. No, I'm not too familiar with this character myself because while I do like Moon Knight and used to read Moon Knight comics, growing up in the islands, it was hard to get comic books like regular. So you would not get a regular run of Moon Knight books, but what you get is like Moon Knight in different storylines, and that's how you learn about the character. So from the little I knew about Moon Knight, I knew a couple things. I knew the character was schizophrenic. I knew one of his personalities was a mercenary, and that's the one that he leans on the most. That character is Mark Spector. which is actually a really cool name, Mark Spector and your
I know,
mercenary,
right?
you know,
Yeah.
having real vibes there. You have everybody on the lock and key with that. So it follows him. And it follows him and follows him and follows him. And I'm not gonna spoil anymore. But what I can say to you, listeners, is that this first episode is a building episode. So look for the build. You know, appreciate the slow build. I mean, it's not that slow, but appreciate the build because the build is gonna lead to better. You can't watch one episode of anything, or you can't watch. These are like movies to me. You can't watch 20% of a movie when it's building and judge. Well, not 20% is too much. You can't watch something and just on the first episode of a TV series and judge it based off of that because the
Yeah,
build
yeah.
was
I,
not
I, I
good.
was gonna say, you can't watch a scene out of a movie, like the opening
Right.
scene of a
And
movie, and
judge the
think that
whole
you
movie
know
on that. Yeah.
judge the whole film because of that.
Thanks, Matthew. That's hey Matthew,
Yo,
that's
yo,
what you
you're
here
welcome.
for.
You're
You know, you
welcome.
gotta jump in with the assist. Yeah, that we're talking about.
Fox,
But yeah, so the end of this episode was so good because it took me back to my comic book knowledge of Moon Knight himself. And there's a very famous quote in the comic books by a supervillain that talks about Moon Knight, right? And the villain's name is Taskmaster. And
Oh
Taskmaster
wow.
says,
Okay.
yeah, Taskmaster says, somebody asked him, who would you never copy if you were in a battle? He's like, yo, I would never copy Moon Knight. Person was taken back. He's like, why won't you copy Moon Knight? He's like, Moon Knight's fighting style is to get hit. And then he hits you harder when you hit him. So to take his fighting style, I'll have to run in and get hit by people that hit hard. He's like, I'm not doing that. I'll never copy Moon Knight's fighting style. And that's something to remember about this character. If they do it well, you're gonna see him getting into situations where he's getting his ass kicked, quote unquote, but he's really just gonna hit you like a power blow and mash it on quick. So yeah, there you go. I suggest that everybody keep watching, see what it has in store, and it'll be a nice ride. I assure you, it'll be a nice ride, and it could lead to bigger, better things in the Marvel universe. Enjoy.
All right. Great review, man. Great review there, man. Right. I do. I will echo what you said in terms of just it just being this establishing episode. Right. We just kind of being we're just being exposed for the first time to this world, to this character, and all that kind of stuff, right? I think this is actually the first time, or I should say, the first MCU show to do that, right? 'Cause everything else prior to that, it relies on you knowing about these characters that you've seen before in some MCU feature film, right? But here's like, yo, we're now showing you this guy. You've never seen him before. I don't think that there's any references at all to prior films at all, or prior TV shows. So yeah, we're in this new world here. Being introduced to this character for the first time, you do buy into how his life is just so weird, and him trying to maintain some sort of semblance of how to say logic, right? Like he just wants things to be normalcy, right? He wants to maintain a level of normalcy, and you just see how that all blows up, right? There's even in simple moments with him, working at this gift shop, basically in this museum, and how his coworkers and his boss talks to him, right? Him trying to him going on this date, and just a bunch of shenanigans taking place, right? And of course, well, I just love how the show just puts you into his world, into his eyes, right? So yeah, when he wakes up now and he's in a different place, or he wakes up and he's in his bedroom, you're like, well, what just happened, right? And then you're just seeing like either dead bodies, and points for this show for incorporating blood, but it's not like overly graphic, because I know, like, people like, especially Kevin Feige, talk about, oh, the show's going to be so brutal and violent and all that kind of stuff, right? But From what I saw there, it's not Netflix, Marvel Studios, Marvel Comics level graphic, right? As far as violent goes, right? Like it is violent, yes. I know it will get violent going forward, right? But in no way is it gonna be like so shockingly graphic that they could try to edit it like what I believe they're doing right now with oh gosh, with shows like the same Netflix shows, for example, that being brought into Disney Plus right now, right? But yeah. And yeah, I just love how the show just kind of goes in this unpredictable route, right? Like we're not sure what's going on. We're not sure what Ethan Hawke's vibe is. You know, what I mean? Well, he's the main villain here. You're not really sure what he's about entirely. You just kind of get a gist of his skill sets and what motivates him, but you're not really sure if he's, if he's doing this, if he's righteous about what it is he's doing or if he's just on some bullshit, right? We don't know, right? I do like the action, I should say the chase scene that takes place in between. It's very over the top and silly, right? Even right
Well, it's
down
not
to
too long mapping.
yeah. I'll agree. I'll agree, right? Although I do like the set piece, I like the set piece of it, right? Also points for them using this George Michael and Wham song, just for that one scene. I thought it worked. It deliver on the humor of it as well too, right? Okay, yeah, that's one thing that this show really does well. It kind of blends this like really like genuinely dark stuff, like dark subject matter, right? Because we talk about a guy with DID, right? Dissociative identity disorder, right? And by the way, props for if you stick around for the end credits, props for the little disclaimer that they have at the end, like if you want to learn more about mental illness or what that kind of stuff, contact this number. I thought that was a really, really, really smart call, right? Because yeah, I mean, in this day and age, we don't want to make fun of stuff like that, right? Like people go through stuff like this, but not in this over the top way. But still, people deal with mental illness, right? Look at the world we live in, right? That's that's real shit,
Well, that was the main thing I was kind of taken away from the whole thing. This personally, it doesn't really wow me. And I don't know anything. Like I don't know what to look for thematically because I don't know anything about the character per se. Like never really read comics or get into it in any workable way. And in fact, most of what I know about Moon Knight is through the memes and through fake stuff, right? Like stuff that people can make up that not actually true or from thing. Like a lot of the stuff like with Dracula and thing. As far as I know, that's never actually printed. Anyway.
Okay. Well, but that's just wrap up here, right? So I do admit, right, and this is not just because you kind of hinted at it, right, but I do admit that I wish that we got to learn a little bit more of the Moon Knight character, right? It still kind of leaves it in the clouds. We're still trying to piece together what's going on, right? And even though I do appreciate the reveal at the end, I still wish that we saw more of the character of Moon Knight, right? But that's just me. But it's a nice, we're going to cut to black at this moment here, and then we're going to show credits moment, right? And by the way, speaking of credits, even though it's something I have to get used to, I pretty much dug the closing, the title sequence. I thought it was really cool, man. Compared to like what we saw before with other MCU shows, right? And even the score itself, especially in that one closing title sequence, I thought it was pretty cool. Like it reminded me a lot of the Mummy. I mean, very okay. Well, we're harkening to like Egyptian stuff, you know what I mean? Right. Sort of Lawrence of Arabia kind of stuff, but we're gonna make it really feel extra dark now, similar to the music in the Mummy, right? It has that kind of vibe to it, you know what I mean? That kind of mysticism, but also something kind of terrifying and dark, right? So it works, right? But despite the fact that we still don't see much of the character, and it just leaves it open for the other episodes to more or less flesh out. This was a solid opener nonetheless, though. I would say, yeah, it is different compared to what we've seen before, again, because we're being introduced to the character for the first time, right? And though I wish that we saw more of the character and more, and we ultimately, kind of understand what's going on, right? Still, in terms of just kind of capturing this sort of crazy, kooky, mental vibe that, the Oscar Isaac, who, by the way, crushes it in his performance, is going to be going through. Yeah, this worked, man. But in general, I would say just don't go in expecting all the questions to be answered. The show it's just basically the opening sequence. That's all we'll say, right? But it goes a little bit deeper than that, right? But don't expect this episode to answer all the questions. You just have to keep watching, and then hopefully, the show will build from there. And I hear we're supposed to be getting some really like earth-shattering stuff in this. Don't quote me on it, but I hear we're supposed to get some really impactful stuff in this show here, man. So can't wait to see what we get next year, man. So Ricardo, in closing, your thoughts on the premiere?
Yeah, as a premiere, it didn't really wow me. Again, mostly because I don't know what to look for specifically with his character. So I was like, all right, what to look for thematically, or what to look for in some cut scene or behind the scene or whatever it is. Don't know what to look for. But for what it is like, all right, this is not bad. For what it is, and you mentioned mental health, but the one thing I gathered from it is that they're trying to play with the whole mental health is not a superpower conceit. Like a lot of people, that's one of the very unfortunate stereotypes in our society. Like a lot of us,
Like,
well, true, yeah. I didn't think of him. But I was thinking
his bipolarism is a superpower, right?
Right, a lot of people, yeah.
According to his MAGA era, right? To see it.
Yeah. Or the fact that you're getting to like more insidious aspects of like, well, genius and insanity is two sides of the same coin, or some bullshit like that. Or even what do you call it? Neurodivergency, autism, that kind of stuff. All of that tend to be the person could actually be secretly a savant, and that makes them that nonsense. That is some really insidious business, and this plays with that in some interesting ways because he have a superpower in his own right, but it's not the mental health. It's on the side of that. F. Murray Abraham is in this, and I didn't know that, and that was pretty awesome.
I was surprised to see his name though, and he's playing the voice of Khonshu, right? I think that's how you pronounce his name.
Yeah, right? I was like,
would. Which, by the way, just that dynamic dude, especially how he delivers the voice, is very Venom-esque.
Very Venom. That was
very Venom-esque still,
Yeah, it's
like
really
you idiot. Let me control you, you idiot.
It's really Venom, Tom Hardy stuff, right? Which is, look, I think the Venom movies are kind of trash. Well, very trash, but it is one part of the Venom movies that kind of.
True,
right?
True.
So I didn't really have a problem with any of most of that for what it is. The whole stuff involving Ethan Hawke, I have no idea where they're going with or what they're doing with that. No clue. So great. I want to see where they're going with that. That opening sequence, nobody's talking about that part where he passes that goddamn glass and shoots. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
We should really look it up and see if that is part of some sort of because he's a cult leader, so to speak, right? But I wonder if it has to do with some sort of religion, like I don't know, like self-flagellant or something for
something
Friday, something along that line.
Yeah, I assume something similar. So that's why I was kind of going with that. I want to see what they're going to do with it as it is. I'm not too wowed by it so far. It's good, but I'm not loving it to speak of. But I dig in it for what it is, and I'm on board. As I say, if they could like just pacing it out and what to do with it, it could totally work. But Ashton was hinting at a possible thing with opening up the MCU. This could be the hinting at the MCU being taken a rated R direction, right? That's a lot of people kind of mentioning that because it's the one itch that MCU cannot scratch, right? And Peacemaker, whoa, that was kind of troublesome for Marvel. I thought that was like a real kind of blow for them, and there's a space they can get into. I want to see where they're gonna go with as it is. I dug it. I didn't love it, but the costume looks solid. Nothing else to say with that one. Giving it a chance on board.
All right, nice.
All right, so this is the next thing that's going to be very interesting about Moon Knight is the schizophrenia, right? Because remember, we just saw a first episode where the museum got trashed after hours by a demon dog-looking thing that was running him down, right? And he's going to be on camera running around, pulling down stuff, and they're not going to see that, and they're going to be wondering. So this show is going to be really good. It to me, this show is going to be an action psychological thriller, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. By Disney Plus standards, By Disney Plus standards.
But that's what people saying is that it's quite possible that they could hint at doing rated R. So this is a different conversation. But a lot of people say Disney might be going rated R. They change up the ratings so your account. All the Netflix shows are there now, so it's like, well, it's quite possible that they could start going dark with some of the material. Blade coming, where's Blade without being rated R? Anybody can imagine a PG Blade? I don't think so. And I don't think they're gonna think so either. So, but it's the point I'm making, right? So I don't know, but that is a different conversation. We'll see.
Right.